you all seem to be back more or less, which is great. So we have a continuation of the conversation and the exciting, I think, a very fruitful contributions and discussions that we are having all together. So we thank Lucy and Cicely for the preparation and also for leading this thing into what it is today and yesterday, and for inviting us, obviously, and giving us this opportunity. It's great. We also want to welcome Galit Eilat, Binna Choi, and Ashanti Harris, who will speak later today. And of course, I want to welcome everybody back, which is, I already said that somehow, no? So like yesterday, when I introduced the speakers, we will not go into the lengthy of their own introductions that they already put online. So I will not mention the whole CV. I will not mention everything that all these people were doing, because you were very able to read that yourself and check further if you want to know more about what everybody has been doing and is doing in their practice. So I hope you excuse me. It's not a lack of respect. I want to emphasize on that, but really because we want to have all the time to hear your voices and to hear what you have to say. So saying that, there's a few things. The first talk will be by Galit, the first contribution, Galit Eilat. Like with some of the other people also that spoke yesterday, we go back a while. We have been working together, I would say most intensely during the Sao Paulo Biennial that we also introduced yesterday, that project. The Sao Paulo Biennial, I really want to emphasize, because the title of that biennial was How to about things that don't exist. And I think and talk and well, all these kind of, I think it's such a great title, no? Because it's like a title that you cannot really say somehow. You can partly say it. So there's many things of saying stuff, and saying that, I also enjoyed really looking at John Berger's videos or program. Let's say I saw part 1 and 2, and I was actually shocked how much had this stuff of 1972, how much is still valid today, but that's for another side. So the Sao Paulo Biennial you curated together with a few other curators, Charles Esch, Nuria Nguitimayo, Pablo Lafuente, and Oren Sagif. And yes, I think the floor is yours, Galit. No? Welcome. You're muted.
Again, I'm muted. Okay, it's now my computer. Sorry, good morning. Thank you very much for Bik van der Pol, for Elizabeth and Jos that invite me. Thank you very much, Lucy, to host us, and Cecilia, thank you very much for accommodating and helping us to be online and to be the wizard of the program. The Sao Paulo Biennial, it's interesting because yesterday when I looked at the work, I thought also how the place that you have been, the places that people could cross at the ground floor, was relevant with Mojendas Grandes, with the work that they made against or for abortion, to allow abortion. But also we've been in one seminar with, which was, for me, it was quite amazing. It was like with the mothers that fight against the police because their kids were killed, mainly from the favela. And she was a mother, she was big, and the space, it's huge. So her voice was filling the space with her talk. And after her, it was an anthropologist, indigenous from Belém, and he was slim. And as he opened his mouth, I say, oh no, it was very, very bad way how to program it, because he was very silent, very quiet, but with his silence and his concentration, I think everybody were around him, and I saw the translator like in tears. He was quite amazing, using the mother talk to talk about the relation that he have, the people that he's living with the mother, which is the land. So he used the mother and give the same kind of relation and engagement that the mother showed through her kids So as a grow up giving back is this gratitude to the mother, but the mother was the land. And I think it was quite brilliant, the way that he managed to put us together. And Elizabeth and Joss, I think you have the recording and I would love to have it. This is was what to say. Lucy reminds me that Khaled Khourani was in Scotland for residency, and I thought maybe to shift just slightly from the presentation and to show something that I think changed a lot in my activity in the time that I was in Israel. It's a video, it's a short video. So I will show just glimpse. It's not a narrative that one will miss something, but I think it could bring something to the discussion and the ability to work together with people that you don't have daily communication. And also you can't, it was the time, it was 2004, what I'm going to see, it's around the wall that built in East Jerusalem in Abu Dis.
We've lost you, Galit. Oh no.
Don't hear me?
We now do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I hope. Let me know again if it's happening again. Say the internet connection, it's not unstable. If not, I will go downstairs. I have a better internet, but it will be more noises, dogs and people and stuff. So let's try first with the video and see how it's going. And I need to share the screen with you. Mm-hmm. So the project called April 1st, and it was on April. We informed the media, and we have been a group of artists, curator. I was the director of an art center, so we took, without a permission, the equipment to the wall, to projectors, cameras. You will see the setup quite soon.
אפשר להיכנס כל אחד ואני אעדכן אותך.
Since it's an area that observed all the time by the border police, it's not a place that we have been before or tried or had any knowledge even where to find electricity.
They have electrician code. They don't need عندهم ما بدهمش.
חייבים לקחת בידיים, נכון?
اوكي هي هذا ارجع انا ورا باينه بالصوره بتقدر تطلع تيري بول يا
كمان
اوكي
That's enough.
So we found out that there are 2 holes in the
That's enough.
each panel.
That's it.
That we can.
بول حيان قليت يلا بول
يلا that's it okay
I think we've lost the sound, Galit. Yeah, we've lost.
Nancy, a bit ahead.
اوكي they see us now. شايفيننا؟ شايفيننا بوضوح؟
The soldier telling to themselves, they made the world transparent. And they heard it from us and one explained to the other. We didn't use sound. This is why they allow us. And it was very strange group of people just projecting the other side of the wall. So people could communicate. I will show it like more few minutes and then.
تنزل أرضك تسقي ترابك تنزل أرضك تسقي ترابك تنزل أرضك تسقي ترابك تنزل أرضك تسقي ترابك يطلع زرع في أرض البور يطلع زرع في أرض البور يطلع زرع في أرض البور جوا السور وبرا السور لا تستنى يطلع نور جوا السور وبرا مالك نايم وقف قاوم مالك نايم وقف قاوم مالك نايم وقف قاوم مالك نايم وقف قاوم مالك نايم وقف قاوم.
I will move to another presentation soon, but I think what was for us quite amazing, we came with quite clear concept. We are not going to paint the wall. We don't going to leave traces. We have all this conceptual kind of an idea what we will not do. And we came with equipment. We didn't know how to, where we'll take the electricity, from where we can push the wires and everything. And everything works so organically. People came, somebody went, Chayan went home because he's working in the cinema. He brought 2 projectors. So people really like make the event, start to sing and use it as a outdoor cinema, which is something that we didn't expect. We came to show the wall, mainly to bring the activists from the left from Tel Aviv that never saw the wall, to see the wall. This was kind of the idea, to confront our colleagues with the wall, but it's turned to something totally different. And it was, I think it's still one of the project or event, I can't even call it project, that moved me every time that I see it, because it's happened just because people, each one took responsibility for something. But at the same time, what we noticed that people from Ramallah couldn't come. So this area, it's area B. And area B, it's the area that people that are living, Palestinian living in East Jerusalem can travel, and also Israelis, but not people that living in area A, which is El Bire and Ramallah, where the academy, for example, that later on we will talk about it, it exists. So we have 3 areas, area E, which is area which is Palestinian territory under Palestinian Authority, area B, which is a Palestinian authority under Israeli authority. Okay, so this is the difference. So the area B, the Palestinian and settlers are living together, it's a Palestinian territory recognized, but it's under Israeli authority. And let's see how now this will develop with the new peace process, or whatever it is with the Emirates, like how this region will reshape. This is quite sure that this will happen. So I want to talk about project that's known in the name Picasso in Palestine. The only Picasso that arrived to Palestine. Anyway, let's say after 67. Before 67, Jerusalem was one, so this area was under or related to the area where the Israeli Museum, but the Israeli Museum opened in 67, so in 65, sorry. So 2 years before Jerusalem was cut to East and West Jerusalem, and Palestinians couldn't enter anymore to Jerusalem, or the one that are not living in East Jerusalem, the one that's living in Ramallah. So we can say from 67, no Picasso entered to area A, as much as we know. I think this will be the most correct. I would like to start with, and this is the occasion that I met also Big Van de Pol. In 2010, I left Israel, and I started to work with other things in the Van Abbe Museum. And they made a project with a Dutch Art Institute around autonomy. And I found it like a few days ago. I looked for something else and I find this, and I find it quite interesting and enlightening. And in a second, I will share with you just where I am here. So share, and this time it's this one. You see the area that I marked. So this is a reflection on the day by Stephen Van Tine. And he writing the 2 points, he was struck by me. He said it struck him, but it struck by me. And I think one of them was, we talk about archives, and my answer was, and I think it was kind of very simple answer that I gave, that for him looked probably very strange. I can imagine today now why. We talk about archive, and I say when people, when the history is broken, when the narrative was taken, so many artists in the region working on their own archive, basically to complete the gap and to create their own narrative, or you are in confrontation with the past, so you create your own narrative which can be in parallel to the canon narrative. In many cases, there is no canon. So the canon is broken, like in Poland, for example, after the Soviet withdrawal. So all what they knew about the artist, the history has to change and be written. The same with, let's say, Akram Zatari and the Arab Event Foundation, that they had to build it. It was no an archive. They're dealing with the history of photography in the Middle East, so they started to do it. So my answer was very simple. If your history is broken, you need to build you build an archive, which sounds very simple and simplistic. But so this was one of the things. The other thing was, I think it was a workshop, and I asked people to basically, I tried to create kind of something which is interactive to see how people react, and I asked them to raise the hand if they are left or right, or something like this. And this is the most telling, I think, because what he's writing here, and also in the, continue to write about it, that how much uncomfortable people felt to reveal their political stand or political agenda, or to say, this is who we are. And he writes that probably people from the East, so it's East of Europe and Middle East, so it's the East, think that there is, I think it's, he expressed it like that we need to have something which is right. We know that it's something which is the right thing to do. Each one of us has, it's not the same thing, but this is something that we can say, this is my, and I believe in it. And the right side, yes, he explains, like, is there is a sense that is or should be a right side. And this is how it translated. And I think reading it now, but also I encountered like a few years ago, this reflection, I said, oh, I missed something. I missed something, or misunderstanding, that today maybe I understand better about interaction, I would say in the West, in Europe, in terms of standing behind your political agenda and be very clear. I think it's changed, no? Like it's changed from the time, from 2010. So I find it quite refreshing. It's also the time that I met with Bic van der Pol. They were in this autonomy project. So this was kind of pausa, and now, again, history. It's a quote from John Berger, and the one that didn't see the whole 4 chapters, I believe that one that's coming from art studies. So I think it's part of the curriculum to read his book. I found, like, some times ago the videos of the BBC. And I don't know why I have one version in black and white and one it's in color. So I don't know if it's 72 English television or British television was color or black and white. It's a question. If anyone remember. You're mute.
Even I was only 10, so I don't remember whether, I'm probably the oldest person here, and I was only 10, so I don't remember whether it was color or black and white. Maybe we might have had a little bit of color. It's quite possible for it being colored post, later on.
Yes, colored or broadcasting black and white, and then later on, yeah, it's also an option. So I will not go. We said that the black and white you can't hear, so we will go to the one from the internet, and we put it here. So this is the second chapter, the dealing with gender. Here it's from the beginning. We will see like a few minutes from it, because I think it's quite amazing.
Galit, I think you need to switch your screen share around so that you're sharing the video.
You're absolutely right.
And Ways of Seeing is right back here tomorrow night at 7:30. Next tonight, we have a whole stack of monitors for you, beginning with a chat with one of the most iconic film directors and actors of all time.
Welcome to the world.
Men dream of women. Women dream of themselves being dreamt of. Men look at women. Women watch themselves being looked at. Women constantly meet glances which act like mirrors, reminding them of how they look or how they should look. Behind every glance is a judgment. Sometimes the glance they meet is their own, reflected back from a real mirror. A woman is always accompanied, except when quite alone, perhaps even then, by her own image of herself. While she is walking across a room or weeping at the death of her father, she cannot avoid envisaging herself walking or weeping. From earliest childhood, she is taught and persuaded to survey herself continually. She has to survey everything she is and everything she does, because how she appears to others, and particularly how she appears to men, is of crucial importance for what is normally thought of as the success of her life. A woman in the culture of privileged Europeans is first and foremost a sight to be looked at. What kind of sight is revealed in the average European oil painting? There were portraits of women as there were portraits of men, but in one category of painting, women were the principal, ever-recurring subject. That category was the nude. In the nudes of European painting, we can discover some of the criteria and conventions by which women were judged. We can see how women were seen. What then is a nude? In his book on the nude, Kenneth Clark says that being naked is simply being without clothes. The nude, according to him, is a form of art. I would put it differently. To be naked is to be oneself. To be nude is to be seen naked by others and yet not recognized for oneself. A nude has to be seen as an object in order to be a nude. In the European oil painting, nakedness is not taken for granted as in archaic art. Nakedness is a sight for those who are dressed. That is why Manet's painting, which really marks the end of the period I'm considering, is so profound a comment on all the works which preceded it. The story begins with the story of Adam and Eve as told in Genesis. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat. She gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And the Lord God called the man and said unto him, Where art thou? He said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. Unto the woman God said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Two things are striking about this story. They become aware of being naked, because as a result of eating the apple, each sees the other differently. Nakedness is created in the mind of the beholder. The second striking fact is that the woman is blamed and is punished by being made subservient to the man. In relation to the woman, the man becomes the agent of God. In medieval art, the story is often illustrated scene following scene, as in a strip cartoon. During the Renaissance,
I think we can
the narrative sequence disappears,
watch it
and
later.
a single
Anyone
moment.
that want to watch it. I think I want to make one comment. If we think about like the Genesis, like at least the Judeo-Christian tradition, so I would say first, I think it's the three monotheistic religion that they had the best public relation. God had the best public relation campaign ever. I don't think there is any other campaign that can compete with it. But the one that initiated the campaign initiated not just that there is God, but also that he is the Son of God. So he invented God to have the privilege by being the Son or in the image of God. So if we talk about the image, so this is like where starting our imagination, yes, and privilege, as we know him later on in the men rights, human rights, etc., because from where we are taking our rights, if not from the rights of being part of the goddess, yes, in relation to others. But it's there is a big differentiation, yes, the women, it's less privilege according to this tradition. So whatever we will want to be very feminist about it, it's still a story that a man invents to have a privilege over others, the way I see it anyway. So yes, how we do it, yeah. So I will share with you another screen. And I will start the story of Picasso in Palestine with just a bit a gap. And I think it was last year or 2 years ago that the European Culture Foundation initiated something that I find very, very strange. Democracy needs imagination. What does it mean, democracy? Who is democracy that needs something? But okay, let's say it's a slogan. I don't need to investigate to it too much, but somehow there is it's not just the way how it's framed and also how it's understood. We need to have more people that imagine democracy to have democracy. We don't need democracy don't need more imagination. So the imagination need to be in our head, the imagination of democracy to be able to gain democracy. And I think this is kind of the all the way around in the way that they work, because today prizes are given to a project that's offering imagination. I don't think you can offer it. You can offer creativity, you can offer many other things which are not imagination. To be entrepreneur, it doesn't mean, and not related to imagination. You can be active, you can be creative, but creativity, it's not imagination. Imagination, I understand in a different way, and I will explain in a second. But also a solidarity. a solidarity today granted with a price. Solidarity, from my experience, coming out of need. And I think it's like a marriage. You need to give up on something to be able that it will run. You need to have a goal that everybody agree, and each one that coming to the group that's sharing the same aim, know that one need to be ready to give up on something that think will move. So you're not granted with a price, on the contrary. Sometimes you suffering a bit for something which is greater than you need. And I think like this approach of granting prizes for something that we as a society need to create, it's really blocking the possibility for people to be able to come together. Now, imagination. So imagination, I wrote, Europe really needs more immigration. So we can replace it. It sounds very similar. So we can just flip few letters and it will be immigration instead of imagination. And Europe really needs immigration. Europe becoming old. I know Brexit, England, Britain, not anymore part of Europe, or for a while it's not going to be part of Europe. Imagination. I think very much related to empathy and not a sympathy. Sympathy, it's to feel something for someone, and empathy, it's the ability to imagine yourself in the shoes of others. And I think Levinas, when he talked about the other, it's to carry the face of the other on your face. This is the image that he's repeating. So imagination, it's not an effort, it's something that our brain supposed to generate just if we have a problem and we can't, we are lacking from different reasons, pathological or not, to imagine our situation, to imagine somebody else's situation as our situation. And I think from this, empathy is coming. So empathy and imagination, it's one linked to the other. The one that can't produce empathies to other can't, I would say, imagine. So people that suffering from antisocial behavior on its range, I would say those people probably unable to imagine. And here I'm going to make a very big claim about Picasso in a second. But this is...
A valuable piece of art by the legendary master Pablo Picasso was displayed for the first time ever in the West Bank on June 24th at a Palestinian art academy during the Picasso in Palestine exhibition.
First of all, the painting is very beautiful up close. This is not the first time I have seen a Picasso, but it is, of course, the first time in Palestine. It's a beautiful feeling that Picasso is here. It is beautiful how contemporary art in Palestine is evolving.
Picasso's Buste de Femme is on loan from Van Ab Museum in Eindhoven, Holland. The artwork on display is considered one of Picasso's iconic works. The 1943 masterpiece portrays a cubist deconstruction of a woman's face. The artwork has been exhibited throughout the world in the past 50 years.
What we say is that art is a way to imagine the world otherwise, to think about the world differently from how it is before you. And this imagination, I think, is sorely needed in the world.
It is hoped that by hosting Picasso's Buste de Femme, other Western art can be promoted in the West Bank. Noura Faraj, Al Arabiya.
So art has a very heavy task to produce imagination for everyone. The work, so the way, maybe a few words about how this project started. So you saw April 1st. After that, I work intensively with Ramallah, with the Academy, with Rim Fada for 3 years. We create a network for international Israel and Palestinian artists, and many work produced. Some of them people were able to see in Documenta the giraffe of Peter Friedel, for example, Yael Batana, summer camp. So we didn't manage to make an exhibition, many things happened. This engagement with Gaza, the project that we wrote to the EU was with Gaza to make an exhibition there, to visit there. It was impossible to do it. So, but we helped the artists to come and to produce a new work. Superflex work on the Eurovision project to try to bring the Palestinians to the Eurovision, because then it will be a question from where to vote, from Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem. So many artists produce new works. When we finished the project, I was approached by, I would say, Goethe Institute. Somebody visited the Goethe Institute and they offered me money. And they offered me money because the project was so successful. Israel and Palestine worked together. We brought peace to the Middle East, and now we need to celebrate it. So, and this is something that we were very much afraid to create this false reality that if we work together, so the problem are solved. So we say, second, we would like to do something, but we will not going to do any project. It will be without our outcome. If you want to support our activity, it needs to come without anything in return. And then what we decided to do is to have meetings. We met for 2 years around the Middle East. Group of people, Khaled was among them. And in one of the visits in the Vanabe, he said, why not to bring, when we saw the collection, why not to bring Picasso to Ramallah? And we all laugh, of course. But this project took place now. Why Picasso? Picasso, because everybody knows the name. It's really a good decision. I'm not sure, you know, it was not a question about the quality of the artist, but it was about the promotion of the artist, or how the artist view at certain places. Yeah. So Picasso, I think I will put it like in a, can I do it? No, I can't do it now. How do I make a full screen? Yeah.
If you press play, Galit, at the top, I think that would take it into full screen.
All right, thank you. I quote here, there is a quote here from the New York Times writing about Gilos. She was his last lover, the only lover that left Picasso after 10 years. She was, I think, 17, younger, and he was over 60. So it's the last, or one before the last lover. When he was very generous to explain her that women are all goddess or a doormat. This is one of the quotes I think that's running, and we know, yeah, he was 61, she was 21. In the time that he explained her after 9 years together. So we can imagine that she was 15, very young. And he was already over 50. This is not new. I think like the biography of Picasso, quite known. And I think today more and more women ask the questions about how to present him, and also how to present Karel André, for example. What we need to, if we present, how to present, it needs to be a context for it, and not to leave it as another painter. And the other question, if we can separate the artwork from the artist. If we can't, if the artwork not resonate the way that the artist act, or the way that he did. And in more than one places, and I checked myself, Picasso described as misogynist and even a sociopath, so antisocial behavior. So what we can tell about our art community, profession, art workers, art. When the image that represents us, it's of an abuser. What kind of art system we can create when the man that his work is the most expensive is the one that I think, when I check it, like every time that I go to Google and I search Picasso, if I go to the news, there are till 10 new articles about Picasso. It's about the most expensive, it's about stalling, it's about different kind of things. This is like a bit, oops. Oh, no. This is a small attribute to Picasso. So he's in front of the mirror. One of the tricks in the early shooting of Picasso, that we can see the expression and the great gesture of the artist through the looking glass. This is part of reading of oral history.
Welcome you all to this late session on the behalf of the participants and Michael Beers. You will see me in a moment rendered by Michael as a drunkard, baffling with things during my interview with him, which I'm still wrestling to understand. However, I appreciate that Michael Beers, as Giorgio Agamben would put it, did not allow himself to be blinded by the lights of Picasso in Palestine, and thus the focus of international media and the art world on the project. Instead, he managed with his novel to get a glimpse of the shadows in those lights, of their intimate obscurity. I know Michael Beers way back from 2009, as he was an artist in residence in art school, with Art School Palestine. I was a discussant at that time for his work in an artist talk that was held in Al-Mahatta Gallery in Ramallah. I also encountered Michael several times in Ramallah as he was working on documenting the work of decolonizing architecture in Betir, titled The Lawless Line, as well as his documentation to Picasso in Palestine. I was back then one of the speakers in Picasso talks and a member of the academic board of the International Art Academy Palestine. The following performance is approximately a 40 minutes reading of excerpts put together by Michael from his novel, as you can read, An Oral History of Picasso in Palestine, which is currently published online and you can access it from the forum's website.
July 26, 2011. Picasso's 1943 portrait of his mistress, Françoise Gillot, the buste de femme, flew on a KLM freighter plane from Ben Gurion Airport to Schiphol Airport outside Amsterdam. From there, it traveled by truck to its home at the Van Abbe Museum in Eindhoven. The buste de femme had arrived at Ben Gurion earlier in the week, following 4 weeks on display at the International Academy of Art in Ramallah, the IAAP. This loan of a single painting from the Van Abbe Museum to the IAAP, an undertaking initiated by its artistic director, Khaled Hourani, was a project that had come to be called Picasso in Palestine.
If anyone wants to see it, you can have it like next to the link that I sent to download the oral history of Picasso in Palestine. I think it's the best documentation up to date that's made about the project. Michael Beers interviewed all the people that were involved. So there is a lot of information, a lot of, also what he did, which I like very much, it's the context. in which context the project was entering and what are the opinion of the people from Oslo to the present time, going back and forth. So many scholars refer to Michael, and very few of them really read what he wrote. And this is quite interesting to see because a PhD written about, like a few PhD written about Picasso in Palestine and many papers. And the few that I read, maybe Michael Berger decided not to go along about what he's offering, but was very different. I think just people didn't have public tendency. So, what's my problem with Picasso? What is my problem with Picasso? So Picasso, we know that he was an activist. He had a contact with the Communist Party. But if we go deeper and to different researchers, and I put a text here, later I can share it with you, but it's not something that one can find. It's not the canon about Picasso.
Galit,
yes.
I will break in. You have 5 more minutes, and then we have a very quick or short time for questions and comments. And then I propose to bring the other questions and comments to the later discussion.
Okay.
Okay, yeah? Or do you want to bring all the questions and comments to the later discussion after Binna's talk?
No, I will run to the presentation, and question answer can come later. So you will have the overview, what's important to deliver.
But I would like to start with Ashanti at 12:15, more or less. So you have.
So I have 6 minutes. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. I will do it.
Okay.
It was written 2 days before she was murdered.
Where did you find that?
In this score, she must have left it here. It's written by somebody called Sergius Bauer.
Give it to me.
He said I wasn't any liquor. He said I was going out of my mind.
You're not going out of your mind. You're slowly and systematically being driven out of your mind.
But why? Why? Oh, that's wonderful.
And you thought I was being cruel to you. Keeping people away
not
from
cruel.
you. Making you a prisoner.
Oh, you're the kindest man in the world. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
If I were not mad, I could have helped you. Whatever you had done, I could have pitied and protected you. Because I am mad, I hate you. Because I'm mad, I betrayed you. And because I am mad, I'm rejoicing in my heart without a shred of pity, without a shred of regret. Watching you go with glory in my heart.
Gaslighting. The name gaslighting, it's after this film. And today it's a political term. We use it not more than once against Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump, many others politicians. The terms shift from domestic relationship to politics. I just I will go quickly. I went to the René Sophia website, and they have a fantastic survey about Picasso. You see, like about his past. And if I will manage this, not give me the timeline. So in the end, I just type misogyny. I type few words to see feminism. I type few words that I think researchers has to, or research already made the work. And I wanted to find, since it's such a big project around the Guernica, so if anyone of those research arrived to the database of René Sophia, nothing. So you can check me later on. I will move on. to this. So this is like kind of part of the mapping that I'm doing. In this mapping, basically it's the clue how Picasso arrived to Palestine. When it arrived to Palestine, no Khaled, no Charles Escher knew how the work arrived to Palestine. What's happened is that the Dutch custom in the last moment decided, sorry, Palestine, it's not a state, we can't initiate the carnet, so the work can't go. And Charles called, everybody tried to work around it. No, the customs say, I can't send it to no place. I can't make a carnet with Palestine. What happened in real time, it's that the Israeli custom took the carnet and say, the carnet is not going to Palestine. They don't have a border. All the custom, everything that they buy go through the Israeli custom. So the carnet is with us. And the one that manage and pay for the deposit, which is cash, which is, I think, third of the amount of money of the painting, insurance value, was the head of the company, the Globus company, the shipping company. It's an international company, it's located in Israel. And here in the story, it's revealed in very subtle way why he did it. He entered to do it because he could. He had the money, he had the connection with the custom, he had a connection with the embassies because they give services to all the embassies, to all the diplomats to relocate them. So this is one of the things that this company does. And the driver, Samar, is a subcontractor of Globus. Their father grew up together and opened the business together. And the head of Globus wanted so much that Samar will make it. He really wants that Samar will be able to finish the job that he took on himself. So without telling to anyone, it was really last minute. I got a phone call from the office, Galit, it stopped, nothing gonna happen. We can't go through. And he decided just to give money from his pocket to take the responsibility that Samar will be able to enter to Ramallah. Khaled referring here to a previous work that Samar did to bring the giraffe of Peter Friedel from Calcilia to Documenta. And I think this, from all this big project and media and everything, for me, it's very important this moment that somebody decided to do something for somebody else, but something very small in a very big project, just to stand behind someone that he's the son of his friend. And, you know, one is Palestinian, one is Israeli, we can project to it, but it's basically very human thing to help to a son of a friend, to be able to do something that will help him and he's proud of. So I think my time is over. And I think empathy and imagination, I think really much in the core of this project and how he solved, which is solved beyond the politics, beyond the big ideas, beyond Picasso. It's to help to someone that you love.
Okay, Galit, thank you so much. We ran a little bit late. I was hoping to start